Hello and welcome to another sewing tutorial. My name is Betty and today I will show you how to sew the Sevilla dress. I designed this dress with some cute ruffles at the hem for that extra romantic touch, and the back is tied, which means you'll get the perfect fit every time. You can get the ready to sew pattern in my Etsy shop. I'll leave the link below. For my version of the Sevilla dress, I chose a viscose blend fabric. I love how beautifully it drapes, plus it's not see-through, which is always a win. For the lining, I actually used the same fabric as for the outer dress. And of course, you'll also need matching thread, and that's it for materials already. Before we start cutting, make sure to follow the pattern description carefully. Each pattern piece includes helpful notes and the sizes are clearly marked as well. Also, here's a little tip for marking the bust darts. Use a needle and some thread to stitch through the top of the dart. It helps transfer the marking to the fabric. Once we've added all the notches and cut out every piece, we'll have a total of 11 pieces. 2 ruffle pieces, the front and back skirts, which adds 3 pieces, 4 straps and 2 bust pieces. So let's dive right into sewing the dress. We'll start by sewing the bust darts. Fold the bust piece, bringing the dart markings together. Then pin the dart to keep everything in place. Now sew along the dart line, backstitching only at the bottom. At the top, tie the threads together for a nicer finish. After you have sewn all the darts, press them outwards and put the bust pieces away for now. Next, let's prepare the straps. Take your 4 strap pieces and fold each one lengthwise with right sides together and iron them in place. Then sew 1 cm from the folded edge along the strap. And after sewing, trim the seam allowance slightly and turn the straps inside out. For that, you can use a security pin, a hairpin or a loop turner if you have one. Once the straps are turned, press them flat so they look nice and neat, and repeat the process for the remaining 3 straps. Next, take the 2 back straps and cut off about 5 to 10 centimeters and put them away for later. Now let's move on to assembling the bust. Place your 2 bust pieces right sides together and pin them at the top. Make sure to leave a 1 cm gap on the tips where the straps will be inserted later. After sewing over that, it's time to add the straps. Take the cup straps and pull them through the gaps you just left, coming from the inside of the piece. Make sure they're straight and then sew the tops closed. I like to go over it a couple of times to make sure the straps can't be torn out easily. Next, take the 5 to 10 cm strap pieces you cut earlier and fold them in half. Then add them to the sides of the top with the folded part facing inside, like I did in the video. These will be the loops for your cup straps on the finished dress. Pin the sides together and sew over them. After that, trim the seam allowance to half its size and turn the top inside out. After giving it a good press, the bust part is already finished and we can move on to the front skirt. Start by overlocking the sides of the piece. If you don't have an overlock machine, you can use a zigzag stitch using a regular sewing foot or an overcast foot. Next, mark the notches and the center front on the top part of your front skirt piece. Then we will sew over this edge with a gathering stitch. Therefore, set the tension of your sewing machine to 0, the stitch length to the longest possible, and I like to use a straight stitch which is shifted a bit closer to the seam. Pull out some thread so you can later pull on it and then sew. Make sure not to backstitch and also leave enough thread at the end. Now start gathering the fabric by pulling on the bobbin thread until it matches the bottom of your top. Align the center front of the pieces and also the notches with the bust dart intakes. Also make sure to leave 1 cm seam allowance to both sides, where the front and the back skirts will be later connected. Then pin the front skirt and the top together, adjust the settings of your sewing machine and sew the pieces together. Overlock the seam and press the seam allowance down. Now the dress is slowly coming together. As a next step, we take the 2 back skirt pieces and also overlock the sides. Place them right sides together and pin them together at the center back. Then mark 15 cm from the top and sew over the pieces coming from your marking to the bottom. Press the seam allowance open and also fold the seam 1 cm in, where you left the pieces open at the top. Then top stitch along this little opening. This is how it should look like now. Next, we will create the channeling. For that, overlock the top parts and then fold them 2 cm to the inside. Stitch 2 cm from the folded edge to create the channeling. Take the back straps and pull them through the channeling coming from the center back. Sew over it at the sides to keep the strap in its place and the back skirt part is finished. Now we can connect the front and the back skirt. For that, pin the side seams right sides together and sew over them. Press the seam allowance open and then we can move on to the last part of the dress, the ruffles. Overlock the sides of the ruffle pieces and then pin them right sides together. Make sure that they do not twist so that you create a little circle. Sew over it and press the seam allowance open. Next, Overlock one side of the circle and move directly to your sewing machine, folding the seam inwards and sew over that, creating the hem. After you press the hem, go over the raw edge of the circle with a gathering stitch. I did it from side seam to side seam to have more control while gathering. Start gathering your circle and then take your dress and place the circle and the dress right sides together, aligning the side seams. Then adjust the gathering of the circle until it matches the bottom of the dress and pin and sew them together. Lastly, overlock the seam and press the seam allowance down and your dress is finished. Congratulations on finishing the dress! I hope you enjoyed sewing the Sevilla dress as much as I did. Don't forget to check out my Etsy shop where I sell the pattern for this dress, including also a PDF instruction guide which will give you even more details and helpful tips along the way. If you liked this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helps me to keep making these tutorials for you. And if you want to see more sewing tutorials, make sure to subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications so you won't miss the next one. Thank you so much for watching and happy sewing!